The moment I saw this morning's weather data, I knew I had to warn every single person across Britain before it's too late. What's about to happen over the next 10 days hasn't been seen since 2018, and most people are completely unprepared for what's coming. Right now, you're probably enjoying this unusually mild January weather. But atmospheric forces are silently conspiring to end that forever. Drop your location in the comments immediately, because where you live determines whether you'll weather this storm or become its victim. Here's what nobody else is telling you. Whilst you've been enjoying 10-degree temperatures, something catastrophic has been building 30,000 feet above your head. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening right now across Europe that will send chills down your spine. Across Scandinavia, an atmospheric monster is awakening. A high-pressure system so powerful it's about to hijack Britain's entire weather pattern. Meanwhile, the jet stream that normally protects us is weakening by the hour, leaving us defenseless against what's marching towards our shores. But here's the terrifying part that even experienced meteorologists are struggling to comprehend. The European and American computer models, systems that rarely agree on anything, are now showing identical, devastating scenarios for late January. When independent forecasting systems start singing the same terrifying song, you know something unprecedented is brewing. Now, before I reveal the timeline that could change your life, let me show you exactly why today's pleasant conditions are actually a warning sign. This morning across Cornwall, Devon and Wales, light showers are dancing across the landscape, nature's final act before the curtain falls. Simultaneously, temperatures in London, Birmingham and Manchester are reaching levels that would be pleasant in March, but are utterly wrong for January. What you're experiencing isn't a gift from nature, it's the calm before an atmospheric storm of biblical proportions. Furthermore, this false spring is setting us up for the most brutal temperature crash Britain has witnessed in nearly a decade. Consequently, when the atmospheric switch flips, and it will flip, the temperature drop will be so severe, it will redefine what British winter means. Now, here's where this gets personal, and here's why your exact location could mean the difference between inconvenience and catastrophe. If you're anywhere in East Anglia, Norwich, Cambridge, Ipswich, you're standing in the crosshairs of continental Europe's frozen artillery. Moreover, London's urban heat island won't save you when air masses this Arctic establish their dominion over southeastern England. Additionally, Manchester, Liverpool and Leeds residents who think the Pennines will shield them are about to learn that mountains become weapons when easterly winds arrive. Even more critically, Scotland's major cities, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, face a scenario that makes your recent hill snow look like child's play. But here's what makes this situation infinitely more dangerous than anything we faced before. The high-pressure system building over northern Europe isn't just strong, it's positioning itself with surgical precision to maximize damage across Britain. As a result, the southerly winds currently keeping us comfortable are about to be replaced by easterly winds, carrying air that has traveled across frozen continental wastelands. Nevertheless, the true horror isn't just the direction change. It's the staying power of this atmospheric configuration. Unlike typical weather patterns that shift every few days, this setup shows signs of persistence that should terrify anyone who understands atmospheric dynamics. In fact, ensemble models suggest this pattern could maintain its stranglehold on British weather for weeks, not days. Therefore, what begins as a few cold days could evolve into an extended siege of continental conditions unlike anything in recent memory. Now, let me walk you through the timeline that will determine whether you're prepared for survival or caught completely off guard. This weekend appears deceptively normal. Fog, light showers, temperatures hovering around 6 to 8 degrees across most regions. However, beneath this facade of normalcy, the atmospheric machinery of destruction is quietly assembling its forces. Monday and Tuesday maintain this illusion of seasonal mildness, yet atmospheric pressure readings reveal the approaching storm. Then Wednesday arrives, and with it, the moment when Britain's weather fate is sealed for the remainder of January. On this pivotal day, the Scandinavian high pressure reaches critical mass, shifting into a position that will redirect every breath of air flowing across our isles. Subsequently, Thursday brings the first taste of what continental domination truly means for unprepared British communities. By this point, easterly winds strengthen dramatically, carrying with them air masses that have absorbed the frozen essence of Eastern European winters. Furthermore, next weekend delivers temperature readings that will shock even seasoned weather observers across England, Scotland, and Wales. Specifically, maximum temperatures struggle to climb above 2 degrees across eastern regions, while overnight minimums plummet towards -8 degrees. More importantly, this isn't a brief cold snap that disappears after a few uncomfortable days. This is the beginning of an extended Arctic occupation. Consequently, what follows is a cascade of consequences that will test British resilience in ways not experienced since the historic winter events of 2018. However, there's an even more sinister element to this atmospheric coup that most people haven't considered. When continental air masses this cold encounter Atlantic moisture systems approaching from the west, explosive winter storm development becomes inevitable. In other words, we're not just facing cold air, we're facing the potential for snow events that could paralyze unprepared regions. Additionally, the contrast between current mild conditions and incoming Arctic air creates atmospheric instability that supercharges storm development. Therefore, around January 25th, multiple atmospheric factors converge into what meteorologists term a perfect storm scenario. At this critical juncture, Britain faces the possibility of weather events that rewrites the history books for winter severity. Nevertheless, understanding this timeline provides a crucial advantage that previous generations never possessed during similar atmospheric assaults. Now comes the part that could literally save your life. Preparation strategies that transform potential disaster into manageable challenge. First and foremost, vehicle winterization becomes non-negotiable for anyone planning to travel beyond walking distance from home. This means checking antifreeze levels, testing battery capacity, ensuring tyre adequacy, and assembling emergency kits that could sustain you for hours in freezing conditions. Equally critical, home heating system inspection must happen immediately. Backup heating options could mean the difference between comfort and catastrophe. Moreover, food storage, essential medication stockpiling, and warm clothing preparation transform from suggestions into survival necessities. Beyond personal preparation, community responsibility becomes paramount during extended cold events. Therefore, checking on elderly neighbours, coordinating with local support networks, and sharing resources strengthens collective resilience against atmospheric assault. Additionally, pet protection, garden plant safeguarding, and pipe insulation prevent damage that extends far beyond the weather event itself. Most importantly, psychological preparation helps communities maintain stability when nature unleashes its most challenging conditions. However, there's something else developing that amplifies the urgency of immediate preparation. Economic implications of extended continental conditions reach every household through energy costs, transport disruptions, and supply chain interruptions. Simultaneously, agricultural damage, infrastructure strain, and emergency service demands create cascading effects throughout British society. Furthermore, the contrast with this winter's exceptionally mild start means psychological adjustment becomes as challenging as physical preparation. Consequently, communities must rapidly transition from complacency to vigilance as atmospheric reality replaces seasonal expectations. Now, here's what I need from every single person watching this video to ensure community-wide survival. Comment your exact location, your primary weather concerns, and your current preparation status. This information helps prioritize emergency guidance for maximum impact. Specifically, tell me whether you're worried about heating costs, travel safety, elderly relatives, medical conditions, or livestock protection. Additionally, share your local observations. Any unusual weather patterns, temperature changes, or atmospheric phenomena you've noticed. Your feedback directly influences which aspects receive detailed coverage as this situation evolves over the next critical hours. Remember, tomorrow's model updates will either confirm our worst fears or provide unexpected reprieve. Constant monitoring becomes essential. Therefore, tonight's atmospheric data analysis will determine whether emergency preparations escalate or moderate. Nevertheless, professional meteorologists maintain unprecedented focus on this development due to its potential societal impacts. In fact, international forecasting cooperation ensures comprehensive analysis of every atmospheric detail as this situation unfolds. Moreover, ensemble forecasting confidence continues strengthening rather than weakening as we approach the critical late January period. This pattern of increasing certainty rather than decreasing uncertainty represents a genuinely alarming development in atmospheric forecasting. Consequently, when multiple independent systems maintain agreement this far in advance, it signals unprecedented scientific consensus about impending weather changes. However, there's hope embedded within this challenging scenario that communities can leverage for collective resilience. Advanced warning systems provide preparation opportunities that previous generations never possessed during similar atmospheric events. Additionally, modern infrastructure, improved building standards, and enhanced emergency response capabilities surpass historical precedents. Furthermore, community networks, digital communication, and shared resource coordination create support systems unavailable during past weather crises. Therefore, knowledge empowers proactive preparation rather than reactive panic when atmospheric challenges arise. Most importantly, methodical preparation and community cooperation provide effective defense against nature's most formidable displays. Now, here's what happens next and why your immediate action could determine outcomes for yourself and your community. Tonight's model analysis will provide crucial confirmation or contradiction of current atmospheric projections. Subsequently, tomorrow morning's comprehensive update will either escalate preparation urgency or offer relief from current concerns. Each successive forecast cycle brings increasing certainty about late January's atmospheric evolution and its implications for British communities. Therefore, the window for optimal preparation narrows with each passing hour as atmospheric forces continue their relentless assembly. Share this critical information throughout your network immediately. Family, friends, colleagues, and neighbours who might not be monitoring atmospheric developments. Remember, community preparation saves lives during extreme weather events, while isolated individuals face exponentially greater risks. Subscribe immediately and activate all notifications, because the next 48 hours determine whether atmospheric fears materialize or dissipate. Your survival, your family's safety, and your community's resilience depend on information I'll provide in tomorrow morning's emergency update. This could genuinely become the weather story that defines not only January 2026, but establishes the character of the entire winter season. I'll be monitoring every atmospheric indicator throughout the night, analyzing each model update with the intensity this unprecedented situation demands. Stay alert, stay prepared, and remember that knowledge remains your most powerful weapon against nature's atmospheric fury. Thank you for trusting me with information this critical, and I'll return tomorrow when everything could change forever.